news. Ford Motor is going to be adding jobs to its plant in Kentucky. They're going to be boosting production of the Ford Expedition and the Lincoln Navigator this summer. That's going to create 550 jobs at the Kentucky truck plant. Now, this move from Ford, again, this is just being released, is coming as President Trump continues to keep up pressure on GM to reopen a key plant in Ohio. The president renewed criticism of GM over the weekend, and it kept on going yesterday. He says the automaker is moving too slowly. And GM says it's not going to be pressured, by the way, to open that plant. Can politics play into any business decision? Let's bring in Jeff Yastine, Banyan Hill Publishing. And Jeff, so much to go through, but, you know, we're just getting this news from Ford about the Expedition. They're going to be boosting production, jobs. We're getting news that Cadillac is going to be coming out with a new CT5 sedan. But that Chevy Cruze in Lordstown, Ohio, they can't seem to sell that car. Is this just a car problem and not really a General Motors versus President Trump problem?
That's exactly right. We are looking at a situation where in this country, people just are not buying sedans the way they did a generation ago, even 5 years ago. With oil prices being what they are, the preference is for SUVs, and frankly, the larger, the better. That's where the industry is going, and so we're seeing this sort of rationalization, which General Motors announced, last fall, closing 5 factories, and Ford and the other automakers are all kind of in the same boat on this, focusing on SUVs and away from sedans.
Yeah, that's certainly true. People want bigger and better. They want electric. If you go to Texas, all you can see is just big trucks all over the road. But at the same time, the president did make an interesting point yesterday in his Twitter attacks against GM, or on Sunday, excuse me. He said, look, why don't we start up those negotiations sooner rather than later with the UAW? That union fight, the president jumping into that, if you will. And here's the tweet, just to show everybody that he said basically, get things going. They've got to start their talks in September, October. Why wait? Does the president have a point about that part of this story?
I don't think so. I think in this case, as GM and the UAW have said, this is their negotiation. They're not going to be sort of compelled by an outside force, whether it's the White House or the other side of the aisle, to move any faster on this. And they're waiting, I think, also to see what the economy is going to do and where the auto market is pointing them towards, as far as, do they relocate some other production line into that Lordstown plant that will hopefully sell better, or do they close it down, and which they've obviously announced already, and then shift other portions of that workforce elsewhere within the GM network of plants in that area, and then lay off and furlough the rest.
Because it's not like you can just take a plant somewhere and change it over. They make SUVs instead of sedans. It doesn't really work that way because of the structure of the plant itself within the walls. Really quick, I do want to ask you, the auto industry in general, the threat of auto tariffs. What does that mean to you? Does that worry you for the U.S. auto industry?
Yeah, we've seen some evidence from GM and the other automakers. It raises the cost of steel and some other components that they rely on. So far, they've sort of made that work, basically through the layoffs and the closing of these plants that we've seen. That is, at least according to GM, one response to this tariff fight that's been going on. But they've been able to make it work, and I don't see it as being a huge impact. They're making it, and they're adjusting to that process, this extra challenge they've had.
And also dealing with steel prices as well, which has been another big story. Jeff Yastine, so much to cover for that very important American industry. Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you.